This is Jebb Adams' channel. Here I restore and repair and learn about vintage sewing machines from the 1940s, 1950s with all steel gears and very little electricity and no electronics. My goal here is to teach myself by doing. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the upper tension device from the Singer 201 and disassemble the pieces. I want to point out to you that the place to release the stud, to release the device, the screw is right in here. Let me just turn that slightly. Maybe we'll get a better... Oh my goodness, it almost hit the camera. I'm all right, folks. Thank goodness, no insurance. So, what I want to do here is get this lamp and see if there, we can see it a little better. There is the screw to release the tension device. And these tension devices are secured by their stud. It's usually a pin or a screw. Well, I'll get my shorter screwdriver. You'll have to bear with my big furry hands, furry fingers. Get it started anyway. It is a long screw, and I am not going to remove it entirely. I may just take it right to about, trying to wait and see if it loosens. See, I don't think that I have to undo it that much to release the tension. There, it's out. That simple. Let's get to work. So now it is out, and the way to disassemble it is to put some pressure on the number dial, and that, when you push it down, it slides down, and that releases the tension on this pin right there. And then once that is released, we can take off the number dial, then the stop washer. Let me line these up a little more coherently. Let's start from left to right, the way we were taught to write in school as children. So there's 3 of the items. There's number 4 is the BEEHIVE spring. Number 5 is the plus minus indicator, which is also has the stop crossbar that stops the stud pin. And by doing that, by stopping or releasing on the stud pin, the pickup lever goes up. The tension on the pickup lever is increased or decreased. Next, I'm going to take the whole upper tension assembly off. And it came off the stud. So we'll put the stud there for a minute because there's something in there that I want to show you. And there I removed the check spring. And so there is the check spring. And then we have 2 opposing discs that the thread goes in between. We'll put them there. And then we have the thread guide. It has a proboscis there, a point that goes into a hole on the body. Above the, it's vertically above the hole where the device goes. And we'll put that down there. Inside there, it fell out. It just slid right out of the stud is the stud pin. And that stud pin is what contacts that crossbar to tighten or loosen the tension on the thread that is in there when you try to pull it loosely through to set it up. And then when you put the lever down and you want it all to lock on the thread so that everything becomes taut. So there it is, it's all apart. I think I said that it was 10 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So when I counted it before, I hadn't counted the pin as a separate part. So to put it back is pretty straightforward. We see the horizontal slot there on the threaded screw stud, and that just drops right in there, and it goes in the correct position because it'll only go in with the pin matching the horizontal slot in the stud. So we put that on, that's in there, that's good. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the spring, the check spring, and the 2 opposing washers and the thread guide. It's not the thread guard, it's the thread guide. How are we doing there? Can you see that, my friends? And what we need is we need this to be on the top because it has to go in the machine and it has to be in that position. The spring, we want it to hang down. So we have to have that on top Where's my spring? Did I lose my spring? I did. And you'll notice that the spring, as mentioned before, it does have a tab. Here we go. We get the pin. That has to match once it's in. There, it has lined up and it has slid down, and we see the bottom of the pin correctly located. I want to have the spring hanging down in that position when it is all assembled. So I may have to have it like that. I may have to have it like that. Let me see where that tab is again. There, it can hang like that when it's all together. So, I will position it where I am holding the spring firmly. I am in control of the spring. First disc. Second disc. Thread guide and spring. And that is good right like that. The spring is on the bottom and this point is on the top. So I'm happy with that. So this upper tension assembly has now been installed on the upper tension device stud. Next, we're going to take the plus minus indicator and we're going to install it. And we want the plus minus indicator on the top. Let's look at this. We have the plus minus indicator like that, and that's the way we need it to be. Next, we want the BEEHIVE spring, and it also has a cross turned wire at the end of the spring, and that fits in that horizontal slot, just like that as well. The next item to be installed is a stop washer, and the tab needs to be pointing towards the viewer, to the camera, to the TV. And it goes on like that. And then we take the number dial and I put it on with the 0 at the top, like that. And then I push the whole device down and I get the screw, which also has a stud that goes in one of the holes. I'll probably initially put it up near the 0 hole or at the 0 hole until I set it. And that's tight enough for now, I think. And there it is. It's assembled. It's ready to go back in the machine. So we want the check spring to hang down somewhat, and we want this proboscis to go in that hole there. So it is going to be simply line it up and gently manipulate it in, and that feels like, let me tighten this up a little. That feels like it is in solid. So let me try that again. Oh, she's a hard beast to get out. Now it is tight, and so it's just a matter of, you see how I have my finger down there and my thumb up here. I've lined up this to go into, this male part to go into that, that receptacle there. And now it feels tight. Like I can't really push that device in there any further. And so now it's time to secure it. And this is how we do that. How we do that is we take a screwdriver and we tighten that. The device is seated correctly. Interestingly, here is the screw that we have to secure the device with. And it's a long screw. So I'm using my long shank screwdriver. And now I have a shorter screwdriver right here. And this is difficult to see because it has somewhat started to recess. For sure it's behind the thread guide, which is right there. So it is a difficult shot. I'm pushing on the device with my left thumb as I tighten that. And that is secure now. But that is in. If you have made it right to the end, thank you for your viewership, your consideration. I appreciate it. Please consider subscribing if this has been helpful to you. It does help the channel. And once again, I want to wish you all have fun, keep safe. Adios, amigos.